Everywhere you look, there'll be something moving, blowing up, exploding, something for you to shoot or something for you to interact with Call of Duty 3.
In Hollywood, war is thoughtful. In video games, war is mindless. In Call of Duty 3, war is brutal. In reality, life is brutal. Wake up, pop the wall. It's wartime. Chop suey. Call of Duty 3 hits the ground running, surrounded by copious amounts of gunfire, slicing through bodies, graves, and explosions. Mission 1, the bloodiest battle of the war. Rolling grenades from below and streaks of bullets from above create battlefield chop suey. An angel dies. Wake up. Camo-less enemies can barely be seen. Gray on gray. Everywhere yet nowhere. Aiming down sights brings the world closer to the eyes at the expense of focus. A tight depth of field only serves to disorient further, and stopping too long to stare means death. The intensity of war harmonized without any music. Chop suey fills the eyes and the ears, overwhelming shooter fans to prepare them for the harsh battle to come. Fast-paced, classic Call of Duty gunplay trademarked for a thematic purpose beyond cinematic blockbuster action. Nobody is a one-man army. Instead, run and gun as a battle cry for help, because you are powerless to the dangers of chaos, destruction, and overstimulation. The COD god is wrathful in the franchise's olden days, only willing to spare a few checkpoints at specific Sunday services. This is the old-school approach to Call of Duty. Nostalgic memories wiped and replaced with dynamic, constantly saving checkpoints and a conspiratorial espionage sensory overload. The numbers mean war really has changed. Friction between the player and the game carves a message mostly quiet in the forward-facing writing. The brain is trained to trap itself inside the intoxicating tension. The plot is light because finding oneself neck-deep in the chaos of war is the story. But let's take it back to the true beginning. The bloodiest battle of the war is foreshadowed at the very beginning of the level, by being the name of said level. Subtlety is not for soldiers, it's for cowards. Bold text haunts a black background while soothing wartime music plays over the radio. It's the calm before the storm, otherwise known as practice. War isn't going to teach itself. Learning is vital not just for tutorializing the player, but also for pacing. It's important to understand what peace looks like before confronting the horrors of war. Friendship, camaraderie, silly banter. One just got blown up by a mortar. Contrast is a powerful yet impactful tool. Now back to the war. An open-ended battle arena is ultimately funneled through a drab slab spire that was once called a church. More tutorialization pops up to progress, yet it doesn't detract from the immersion since there's already so much information being thrown at the player. Everything blends together under the unbearable pressure of battle. As the dust clears, the mission calms itself down, until immediately interrupted with a surprise attack thrusting the player into a brand new mechanic, the QuickTime event. The QuickTime event. It's always something, isn't it? A true product of its time that plagued most AAA action games during the post-God of War 1 era. Treyarch's QTEs lack the same level of excitement conjured from Kratos' hands, yet successfully shake up the formula to keep players questioning what's behind every corner. War doesn't have time for lunch breaks. Music swoops in for the first time to mark a dramatic shift in the mission structure. False peace is how tension peaks. But what about real peace? Try riding on the back of a tank through the French debris. Nice. The ride is long and the danger is low. For now. This time it's the frog who rides on the back of the scorpion, watching hell unfurl from behind the comfort of the scorpion's stinger. Casually calling out who the tank should bomb next slows down the pace and provides some room to breathe. Becoming a passenger of the bloodiest battle of the war for 3 whole minutes lasts a bit too long. It lasts so long that I'm still not sure if it was intended to be the player's respite. The visceral intentions behind the gameplay eventually weave into the next cutscene. A showcase of compounding tensions getting the better of a fellow soldier who wants to leave the fight and his men behind. A warning shot describing what persistent conflict and strife can do to the mind. What? The battlefield evolves from the wide-open onslaught of soldiers to the tight corridor brawls inside the few buildings that remain. It's a new flavor of intensity. Disorientation replaced by paranoia to drive the tension dynamically. It's always something. The mission follows through on the fast-acting promise made by the QTEs. Music blares the alarm on the shifting tides of war, only getting louder with every march forward. Building clear, enemies gone. The video game mission ends in the video game mission way. Final cutscene initiated. Fellow soldiers congratulating the player as everything fades to black. Mission complete. Wake up! Video game language is interrupted by a tank shell to the head. The battle persists with hordes of enemies storming the building, rallying beside their own tank. The Scorpion has returned to sting the frog, as it is in its nature. God dang, it's always something. Call of Duty is at its best when it prioritizes harrowing intensity over power fantasy. And St. Lo masters the give and take of warfare, the unrelenting brutality, the constant mind games, the false sense of security. You will believe that this final stand is never ending. Enemies rushing upstairs, enemies rushing from outside, enemies taking sniping positions, tanks cascading destruction from above. Addressing one opposition means letting others get the jump. No time to cry, always online. Crashing out, caving in, it never ends. Until it does. Mission 2, the Island. In Hollywood, war is entertainment. In video games, war is entertainment. In Call of Duty 3, war has a pause button. In reality, entertainment never ends. Go to sleep.